Invictus my kings, welcome to top 5 easiest Total War games, where we take a look at, well, the top 5 easiest Total War games, whether it because of the battles or the campaign difficulty being too low, or just individual factions within the game being a little too easy. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Being too easy just means that you're beginner friendly, and that when someone picks up the game, it means that they can learn Total War, learn the ropes of the games, and then maybe move on to some of the more difficult ones. But let's get going. Number 5 on the list is a Total War Saga Thrones of Britannia, mostly because of the AI really not being able to handle all the individual mechanics. They don't defend their settlements too well. They only have maybe about 1 armies per campaign, so once you defeat their 1 army, it's very easy to roll them, very easy to just, once the ball begins to roll, it's very easy to just snowball out of control. The raiding Viking armies don't really do much, and they come way too late, so you have like 5-6 stacks ready to defeat them. It's really not that difficult to get a really good campaign going within this game, and the rest of the kingdoms that you're up against don't really pose that much of a challenge. The combat is also very simple, taken straight out of Total War Attila, but it's very infantry focused, and overall very simple game, very easy to get into, and that's why it's number 5. Next up on our list is Medieval 2 Total War, mostly because there aren't really a lot of mechanics you have to worry about. It's very simple, very basic, very vintage, you might almost say. There are a couple of things like the limited recruitment pool that you might get hung up on a little tiny whiny bit, but overall there isn't really a lot. There's only like religion, the Crusades, happiness when it comes to distance from capital, and unlimited building slots. But the unlimited building slots are a little bit of a feint. It's a little bit of a fake out, because there are only a handful of buildings that you really need to build to make a lot of money. You don't really have to worry about trade that much. Sure, there are merchants that you can put on various trade goods, but overall it's not as if it's very difficult. Once you play 1 campaign, 2 campaigns, you generally get the gist of it. Another thing is that the AI has very little cheats, even on higher difficulties. There are basically no AI cheats within this game, meaning that battles aren't that difficult, the campaign isn't that difficult. It's overall just relatively simple, straightforward, nothing to really worry about. Once you start to understand the game even a little bit, you'll be fine. Next up on the list is Rome Total War and the Remastered, and mostly the same sort of set of ideas that apply to Medieval 2 apply to Rome as well. There is a little bit of a different recruitment mechanic. Instead of limited recruitment slots in Medieval 2, in Rome Total War you use population mechanics and population growth, and if your town just has no population, you aren't going to be able to recruit units. The population is tied to squalor and happiness and all of those things, but same general set of ideas. The AI is absolutely terrible. They really don't know what they're doing. They will betray you quite a bit, but they really do not know what they're doing in terms of the battles and everything like that. The money-making situation is even simpler than in Medieval 2. You really only need a couple of buildings in each city to really make a lot of bank. You do have to worry about squalor, but there are buildings for that as well. You can always bump up the garrison. The battles are almost a breeze, especially if you play someone as Rome. Rome is real, the Julii, the Brutii, the Scipii, or if you use a United Rome mod like I'm using right now in this video, completely a breeze. The battles, the campaign, everything is relatively simple when it comes to single player. Once you play at least for like an hour, hour and a half, you really know what you're doing, and there aren't really that many surprises. Now, multiplayer is a different situation, but we're not judging multiplayer here. Number 2 is Total War Rome 2, and really mostly because of the campaign AI just not being aggressive at all. Once you get at least 2 full stack armies, or even a full stack and a half, you can completely just steamroll the entire map. The AI just doesn't really attack. it doesn't really do anything. Very rarely do they even attack an empty settlement. You have to almost bait them to do it. But even then, very rarely do you have any sort of issue with being outnumbered or being on the receiving end of an invasion when it comes to Total War Rome 2. Generally, the battle AI is a little bit better, but when it comes to campaign play, it's really one of the best modern or semi-modern Total Wars to get used to. There isn't a lot of building variety. Pretty much all of your settlements will look relatively similar, and ultimately it's just a really simple game. And the number one easiest Total War game is Empire Total War, and it comes as no surprise. Very limited building options. The AI is terrible both on the campaign map and on the battlefield. It doesn't know what it's doing. There are no really deep tactics that you have to learn, because it's always the same. You just build a giant line that's going to fire upon the enemy. The enemy builds a giant line that's going to fire on you. Whoever breaks first loses. That's the gist of it. That's the entirety of the game. There are some outliers, obviously, when you're facing melee units and stuff like that, but in general, there are very few surprises. There isn't really a deep economic system. You just trade a little bit, build up your empire a little bit, build a couple of armies. The armies are almost always the same. They just have line infantry in them. That's it. Very simple game, very easy game to get into, very easy game to understand. One of the best first-time Total War games, and ultimately, that's what it's all about when you're looking at easy games. So, anyway, thanks, Kings, for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.